Aline Pereira faced the toughest and most high-stakes challenge of her combat sports career at Karate Combat 56, and she rose to the occasion with the poise and composure of a future legend. After scoring emphatic knockout victories in her first two appearances under the Karate Combat banner, Pereira was matched against Fanny Palumpi, a striking veteran with over 100 professional Muay Thai and kickboxing bouts on her resume. It was a clear step up in competition, and one that tested Pereira's skill, heart, and championship potential. Despite Palumpi's overwhelming edge and experience, Pereira proved she was more than ready for the moment. From the opening bell, the Brazilian striker set the tone with crisp, powerful combinations that echoed through the pit. While Palumpi stayed aggressive and tried to impose her pressure, it was Pereira who consistently landed the cleaner, more impactful shots. Her timing, footwork, and composure in high-pressure moments stood out as she controlled the pace and dictated the exchanges across all 5 rounds. Throughout the bout, Pereira showcased her evolved skill set, not just relying on power, but blending precision, angles, and strategy to neutralize her opponent's attacks. She remained calm under fire and made excellent use of the Karate Combat rule set, keeping the pressure on while remaining elusive enough to avoid significant damage in return. As the rounds progressed, her confidence grew, and by the championship rounds, it was clear who the sharper, more effective striker was. When the final horn sounded, all 3 judges were in agreement. Aline Pereira had done more than enough to secure victory, earning a unanimous decision and claiming the Karate Combat Women's Flyweight World Championship, her first major world title in combat sports. Celebrating the milestone moment with her was her older brother, UFC superstar and former 2-division champion Alex Pereira, who cornered her throughout the fight and proudly embraced her after the win. The image of the 2 siblings celebrating, both now world champions, symbolized a powerful family legacy that continues to grow in the world of combat sports. With this landmark win, Aline Pereira has officially arrived as one of the premier female strikers in the sport. Not only did she pass her toughest test to date with flying colors, but she also cemented her place as a cornerstone of the Karate Combat promotion. The sky is the limit for Pereira moving forward, and this performance suggests she's just getting started. Reinier de Ridder's rise through the UFC ranks has been nothing short of spectacular, and his shocking knockout of Bo Nickal sent shockwaves through the MMA world. What was supposed to be a proving ground for Nickal turned into a career-defining moment for the former ONE champion, who now stands poised to test himself against one of the division's most dangerous veterans in Robert Whittaker. De Ridder is not just content with taking out rising stars. He wants to dismantle former champions too, and he's aiming to do just that when he steps into the octagon with the Reaper. With a perfect finishing rate in his UFC stints so far and an 18-finish record in 22 professional fights, de Ridder has emerged as a relentless force. While he's known for his elite submission grappling, his knockout of Nickal proved he can end fights standing up just as brutally. Now, with Whittaker on deck, de Ridder isn't backing down. He sees a path to victory and intends to exploit every weakness. In a recent interview, he laid out a clear, aggressive strategy: pressure early, sharp striking, a possible flying knee, and a relentless ground attack leading to a choke. His respect for Whittaker is clear, especially when referencing the Aussie's performance against Ikram Aliskerov, but it's also evident that de Ridder isn't going in to survive. He's going in to dominate. Even as he eyes Whittaker, de Ridder has one eye on the title picture, openly hoping that Khamzat Chimaev pulls out of his scheduled bout with Dricus du Plessis at UFC 319. His reasoning: Chimaev's history of withdrawals and de Ridder's readiness to step in. It might seem far-fetched, but in MMA, opportunity often comes to those who stay prepared and vocal. De Ridder isn't being shy about it. He wants the belt, whether it's Whittaker, du Plessis, or Chimaev standing in the way. While de Ridder acknowledges that Chimaev as champion could mean a slower division due to inactivity, he also makes it clear he's ready to fight whoever holds the gold, as long as it means keeping the division moving. The Dutchman is making a compelling case for being one of the most dangerous new additions to the UFC roster, and if he can get past Whittaker, he might just force his way into a title shot. Whether through dominance, persistence, or simply being the right man at the right time. Jon Jones' sudden decision to end his short-lived retirement and angle for a historic fight at the White House on America's 250th Independence Day has stirred a whirlwind of emotions in the MMA world. For a moment, it felt like the perfect storm, one of the sport's most accomplished and polarizing figures returning to action on the most iconic stage imaginable. But as is often the case with Bones, reality isn't that simple. UFC President Dana White, once an unwavering supporter of Jones, expressed serious hesitation during the UFC 318 post-fight press conference. Though he didn't rule Jones out entirely, he made it clear that the stakes of a White House card are simply too high to risk potential fallout. "I just can't risk putting him in a big spot, especially the White House card," White admitted, acknowledging the weight of the moment and Jones's unpredictable track record. Jones, as expected, didn't take kindly to that implication. On social media, he responded with heartfelt messages about his readiness, discipline, and commitment to legacy, not just paydays or belts. His post struck a patriotic tone, claiming that fighting on the 4th of July at the White House would be an honor beyond measure, something deeply personal and symbolic. While critics resurfaced concerns about his history of delays and issues outside the cage, Jones pushed back, clarifying that Dana didn't say he was untrustworthy, but rather that the promotion couldn't afford for anything to go wrong. That distinction matters to Jones. He reminded fans that he's always been a main event fighter and promised he's still training hard, still in the testing pool, and still game for a July 4th return if the opportunity arises. Meanwhile, Michael Bisping came to Jones' defense, reinforcing just how monumental a Jones vs. Aspinall fight at the White House would be. On his YouTube channel, Bisping envisioned the spectacle, the greatest heavyweight bout of modern times, England versus the US, Tom Aspinall versus Jon Jones, all under the most patriotic spotlight imaginable. He even went as far as to say that without stars like Jones and Conor McGregor, the event might not reach the scale it deserves. While UFC brass continues to work through the logistics and no final decision has been made, it's evident that there's still a chance, however slim, that Jones gets the nod. Still, the broader question remains, is Jones the right man for this moment? Is he the redemptive, legacy-chasing figure America wants representing it on such a symbolic day? Or is he simply too big a gamble? That tension, between his incredible talent and his complicated past, is what makes Jon Jones one of the most compelling figures in MMA. And if July 4th at the White House really does go down as a UFC milestone, few names could command attention quite like Bones. Whether or not Dana White pulls the trigger, Jones has made it clear, he's ready, he's willing, and he still sees his legacy as unfinished. UFC heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall has weighed in on the growing speculation surrounding Alex Pereira's next move, particularly the possibility of the former middleweight and light heavyweight king making the jump to heavyweight. Following Jon Jones' retirement, Aspinall now reigns as the undisputed heavyweight champion. Meanwhile, Pereira recently lost his light heavyweight title to Magomed Ankalaev, leaving fans and analysts to wonder what comes next for Poatan. Some expect an immediate rematch at 205, while others are buzzing about a far more ambitious plan, a move to heavyweight in pursuit of a historic third UFC title. Speaking with UFC on Eurosport, Aspinall gave his thoughts on the situation and Pereira's recent noticeably bulked-up appearance. "As far as he's concerned, I think that if I was him I'd want to get a rematch and get the light heavyweight belt back," said Aspinall. "But I'm not him, so I don't know." The British champ also noted how Pereira and his team have a knack for stirring headlines. "The weight thing. They know what they're doing on social media," Aspinall explained. "They know how to make people talk. I think, as far as I'm aware, that's quite normal for him and other big light heavyweights to get up to 240, 250. So I don't know, maybe he's just teasing it, maybe he'll be in. I have no idea." While a potential matchup between Aspinall and Pereira would be blockbuster material, the Englishman remains grounded, recognizing the noise might be more strategic than serious, for now. Whether Pereira seeks redemption at light heavyweight or dares to step into the heaviest division one thing's clear. The UFC world will be watching closely. And if it's the heavyweight crown he eventually sets his sights on, Tom Aspinall will be waiting. The bad blood between Khamzat Chimaev and Paulo Costa has officially boiled over, with personal accusations now fueling what was already a fiery rivalry. After pulling off a hard-fought upset win over Roman Copelov at UFC 318, Paulo Costa used his post-fight moment to call out Chimaev. But it wasn't just a standard challenge. Costa claimed Boers had crossed the line by messaging his wife on Instagram, something Costa took extremely personally. "I want to fight him very badly," Costa said at the UFC 318 Media Day. "I want to hurt him. It doesn't matter if he wins or loses. We need to fight. He said very bad things to my girl in the DMs. This is totally personal now. I get angry just hearing his name." Costa went even further, alleging that Chimaev had sent inappropriate messages. "Dirty things," Costa described, like, "You should look for a better man. Things no real man would say to another man's woman. Why didn't he message me? Coward. He's a coward." But Chimaev didn't take the accusations lying down. Just hours later, he fired back on social media, denying the claims and flipping the script. "It was she who wrote to me, Habibi," Chimaev posted bluntly, igniting a frenzy online. When a fan urged Chimaev to post the alleged messages as proof, he responded that the evidence was gone. "She delete everything, bro," another fan commented, echoing the narrative Chimaev was pushing. The feud has quickly evolved from a typical fighter rivalry to something deeply personal. Still, before they can settle anything in the cage, Chimaev has business to handle. He's slated to challenge Dricus du Plessis for the UFC middleweight title at UFC 319. Costa has already said he plans to be cage-side for the fight, hoping to stir the pot even more and ensure that Chimaev can't ignore him for long. Whether or not the DMs ever existed may remain unclear, but what's undeniable is that Costa vs. Chimaev is shaping up to be one of the most anticipated grudge matches in the UFC. If Chimaev walks away with gold, Costa may be the next man standing across from him, driven by more than rankings, but pure animosity. Even Israel Adesanya, Paulo Costa's fiercest rival, had to give props where they were due after Costa finally snapped his cold streak at UFC 318. It's been nearly 4 years since their infamous title clash in 2020, where Adesanya brutally knocked Costa out and followed it with post-fight antics that added fuel to their long-standing animosity. Since then, the Brazilian had struggled, going 1-4 and falling far from the elite tier he once threatened. But at UFC 318, something changed. Costa walked into the octagon Saturday night as a heavy underdog against Roman Copelov, a talented and technical striker many assumed would be the latest to hand Costa another setback. Instead, Costa turned back the clock. He was aggressive, precise, and composed, a throwback to the version of him that bulldozed his way to a title shot. He picked Copelov apart with smart shot selection, slick uppercuts, and heavy bodywork that earned him a unanimous decision win and a much-needed return to form. Even Adesanya, known for mocking Costa at every turn, couldn't help but appreciate what he saw. Watching live and posting his reactions to YouTube, the last stylebender praised his former opponent's performance. "Costa is looking good, man," he said in the heat of the action. "Costa is looking clean. Bro, he's selecting them nice. That uppercut, right to the body as well." By the time the final horn sounded, Adesanya's tune was clear. Costa had shown up. "Costa is on today, he's backy. Good job, buddy. Finally! That was vintage. He looked good." This moment of acknowledgement hit harder considering what Adesanya had said just days before the fight. Speaking with his usual blunt honesty, the two-time champ laid into Costa, questioning his focus, his training, and whether he even cared anymore. "Costa just needs to get serious again," Adesanya had said. "He is fun, entertaining, but just show some balls, bro. Be motivated, be disciplined." He continued, "Go back to who you were before you fought me. Costa has got the goods. He's still dangerous. But you have to take it seriously. Just show up, man. Just show up and show them. It seems Costa heard the noise, and for once, responded with action. His win over Copelov was his first since 2020 and could serve as the foundation for a resurgence. Whether he can turn this into a real run remains to be seen, but for one night at least, Costa silenced the doubters and reminded everyone, including Israel Adesanya, that he's still a problem in the middleweight division when he's dialed in. Coming from someone who once embarrassed him both inside and outside the cage, Adesanya's nod wasn't just surprising, it was telling. Costa may never be the same force he was in his meteoric rise, but if UFC 318 was any indication, there's still fight left in the eraser. Dustin Poirier entered UFC 318 with the mindset that no matter what happened, win, lose, or draw, he was walking away from the sport. While he stuck to that decision following a thrilling, high-paced bout with Max Holloway, Poirier admitted he was a bit disheartened by how his final performance was judged. The 5-round slugfest delivered everything fans could hope for in a high-stakes farewell. Momentum shifts, heavy exchanges, and two warriors pouring every ounce of themselves into 25 minutes. Despite Poirier's tenacity and moments of success, Holloway earned a unanimous decision victory, with two judges scoring it 49-46 and one seeing it 48-47. Those numbers didn't sit quite right with Poirier. "Obviously I wanted to win," Poirier said at the UFC 318 post-fight press conference. "Max is a great fighter, a tough competitor. But being inside the eye of the storm, it felt a lot closer to me. I really thought it might have been 2-2 going into the 5th. Mike Brown checked the scorecards when we got back to the locker room, and it turns out the judges gave me different rounds. All of them gave him the second. I thought I had him out in that round. He hurt me too, but I was cracking him with elbows. Max even told me in the medical tent, 'Hey man, you had me out.'" Even Israel Adesanya, Paulo Costa's fiercest rival, had to give props where they were due after Costa finally snapped his cold streak at UFC 318. It's been nearly 4 years since their infamous title clash in 2020, where Adesanya brutally knocked Costa out and followed it with post-fight antics that added fuel to their long-standing animosity. Since then, the Brazilian had struggled, going 1-4 and falling far from the elite tier he once threatened. But at UFC 318, something changed. Costa walked into the octagon Saturday night as a heavy underdog against Roman Copelov, a talented and technical striker many assumed would be the latest to hand Costa another setback. Instead, Costa turned back the clock. He was aggressive, precise, and composed, a throwback to the version of him that bulldozed his way to a title shot. He picked Copelov apart with smart shot selection, slick uppercuts, and heavy bodywork that earned him a unanimous decision win and a much-needed return to form. Even Adesanya, known for mocking Costa at every turn, couldn't help but appreciate what he saw. Watching live and posting his reactions to YouTube, the last stylebender praised his former opponent's performance. "Costa is looking good, man," he said in the heat of the action. "Costa is looking clean. Bro, he's selecting them nice. That uppercut, right to the body as well." By the time the final horn sounded, Adesanya's tune was clear. Costa had shown up. "Costa is on today, he's backy. Good job, buddy." Finally! That was vintage. He looked good. In true Holloway fashion, the final seconds of the fight featured a dramatic call-out to brawl, with the Hawaiian pointing to the center of the octagon to recreate his viral finish at UFC 300. Poirier, ever the dog in a fight, was game, but also wise to the risk. "I wanted to do it," Poirier said with a smile. "That's why you saw me looking at the clock, waiting. When he finally pointed, I said, okay, I oblige. But then he hit me with a few shots, and I thought, alright, let's clinch up, let's wrestle a little." There were only 8 seconds left. Though he didn't get the storybook ending, Poirier once again showed his elite level and left fans with a performance that matched his legacy: heart, grit, and unshakable resolve. "I wanted to prove I can still hang with the best in the world," he said, "that I'm going out because I choose to, not because I can't keep up. I wanted a war. I wanted to fight to remember. And that's what I got." Now officially retired, Poirier steps away from MMA as one of the sport's most respected and beloved veterans. A fan favorite not only for his violent, crowd-pleasing style, but also for his humility and honesty. The Diamond exits the game the same way he entered it, on his own terms, always giving everything he had. Dakota Duchcha's rise within the PFL has been nothing short of meteoric, and her decision to re-sign with the organization only reinforces her commitment to building her legacy under its banner. Following her victory over Sumiko Inaba in the co-main event of PFL Champion Series 2 in Cape Town, Duchcha made it official during her post-fight interview that she and the PFL had come to terms on a new multi-year agreement. The announcement, though expected by many given her trajectory, confirms that the PFL intends to continue investing in her as a cornerstone of its growing global roster. The timing of Duchcha's contract renewal is particularly notable. With Kayla Harrison's high-profile departure to the UFC earlier this year, the PFL has been in need of a new standout name to rally behind, and Duchcha has emerged as that star. Her success in PFL Europe, where she became the first-ever women's flyweight champion in 2023, catapulted her into the global spotlight. And since making the jump to the PFL's main season in 2024, she's backed up the hype with dominant performances, most impressively defeating established contenders like Jenna Bishop and former UFC fighter Taila Santos on her way to capturing the PFL Women's Flyweight World Title. Her bout against Inaba in Cape Town marked her return to action as champion, and while she added another win to her unbeaten record, it didn't come without consequences. Duchcha appeared to suffer a broken hand during the fight. Though the severity of the injury has yet to be confirmed, it introduces some uncertainty about when fans might see her next. Still, the long-term outlook remains overwhelmingly positive. Duchcha has established herself not just as a top talent in the cage, but as a promotional figure who can carry events, especially in markets outside the United States where the PFL is aggressively expanding. With this new contract in place, the 26-year-old British striker has an opportunity to further cement her status as one of the premier female fighters outside the UFC. Whether it's defending her title, participating in another season format, or headlining international cards, the next few years for Dakota Duchcha look both promising and pivotal.